This is from Diopsalmata. I will tell a story. An ex of mine, you know who you are, you will in a second. See, Diopsalmata. July and August. September and October. July, August, September, October. Anyway, I was dating somebody, if that's what it's called, and so there were lawyers around, and they knew that I was a philosopher, and so one of the men in the group started talking to me about Kierkegaard. Anyway, the man, who I will also keep the identity discreet of, I had run into at Cardiff Giant on Myrtle Avenue in Clinton Hill, thereabouts. Fort Greene. It's right there. Fort Greene, Clinton Hill. Cardiff Giant. I think it's all, yeah, it is. All New York alcohol. So all New York beer and all New York like distilleries and stuff. It's been there for at least since I think 2016. That's when I got myself back to New York. 2016. Anyway, Diopsalmata came up. Now I keep in mind, this is 2007. Today we have almost 2026. And if I tell you, whoever you are in this dialogue, if this is a dialogue, is it a soliloquy? Anyway, I dropped the line. He started talking about Kierkegaard, and I said, well, I always liked the line from Diopsalmata about all the laughs falling on my side. Johann Climacus, Climacus, Johann Climacus. Sobriquet and nom de plume of Kierkegaard. And that stuff is probably the best stuff. What's the one that I'm thinking of? I don't know how many volumes are published under Johann Climacus. This is something that GPT definitely excels at. Sam Altman, take note. GPT probably can get me a pretty comprehensive telling about how Kierkegaard used that nom de plume. Johann Climacus nom de plume, please explain. There are interesting metaphysical problems that are introduced by using LLMs. I don't know how many people have noticed. They are all the indexical opacity problems. Saul Kripke, A Puzzle About Belief, like Gottlob Frege, Der Gedanke, David Lewis, they say propositions and stuff, Matt Heimson. So Johann Climacus. Oh yeah. So indexicality from the subjective standpoint, Daisy standpoint, of course, is what an LLM dialogue is. So even though I've just typed something as a query into the LLM window, it's a highly contrived situation right now. Highly contrived. Because I have this Darstellung and, Darstellung, nicht Vorstellung, right? Nur Darstellung, nicht Vorstellung. Highly contrived. So what happens is, now because I have ChatGPT open here, it's not actually just me using the LLM. It's me together with all y'all, whoever you are. How does one even anticipate what one is supposed to say or not say? Where does the concept of filtering and all the self-censorship, it goes out the window. It goes out the window. Everything is just so darn dispersed now. I mean, which face of yourself are you showing to who? I mean, how can you maintain like personae? I mean, if you're really actively maintaining even just the double, 2 personae, that's basically being a fucking double agent. You're a professional spy. If you're just running 2 personae. But most of us have all kinds of personae. Said who? Who was that wrote sexual personae? Somebody will tell me. So it's not, my view is anyway, well, it's very demonstrably true. I mean, it's just a metaphysical fact that, look, I see the time elapsed, it's rolling, I know that it's recording. I know that this is going to be externalized to the world. So then all of that gets added into the axiomatics and presuppositions that I'm using for all of my judgments when I'm proceeding through all the steps of thought. Everything is being conditioned by being in the culture, being immersed in the culture. And if that takes place with the camera rolling like this and me sitting in front of an LLM, it's not just me in front of the LLM. The only way to get me in front of the LLM is to not have any cameras or recording devices rolling. But still, you push the analogy or whatever, right? Such that it still continues. The kind of self-secrecy. Not that there's anything that you're unconscious of, because there's certainly not. But there's definitely a whole range of magnitudes of emphasis, magnitudes of symbolic emphasis, a whole dynamic range of possible emphases on what are fully articulable, indexicable, sentential thoughts. 100% on the ticker, on the court recorder. 100% testimony. Why not? I mean, if you're a moral person, I mean, it's a standard argument that's made by totalitarianistic personalities, and so I don't like the argument just simply by that, so I don't have to use that kind of argument. You know, that's not really the point. Anyway, so it is good now that if I'm doing this inquiry for Johann Climacus, we can see what I've typed. Johann Climacus, nom de plume, please explain. Okay. Johannes, spelled Johannes, compare, I think, with the ancient Greek Ioannis, which is the Christian name of my godson, Ioannis, Ioannis. Yasuyani, Tikanis. Ioannis, Ioannis. That's John. Biblical John. Johannes Climacus is Soren Kierkegaard's most important and most paradox-saturated pseudonym, a nom de plume that is itself a philosophical argument. The name comes from John Climacus of the year 579 through 649. Also known as Saint John of the Ladder or John of Sinai. Simon Critchley. You know all this, Simon. I know you know it. A Christian monk whose major work was the Scala Paradisi, Ladder of Divine Ascent. It is an ascetical, I never know how to pronounce that, treatise describing the soul's climb toward God through 30 rungs, each a spiritual virtue. Thus, Climacus literally means the one who climbs. Oh, Alex Honnold, it gets good sometimes, doesn't it? Kierkegaard selects this name not because his author performs the climb, but because he refuses to. Kierkegaard uses pseudonyms to produce positions, not people. Each pseudonym embodies a philosophical posture, a set of existential commitments, a voice that cannot be reduced to Kierkegaard's own. Johannes Climacus is his most subtly layered pseudonym because Climacus is the thinker who approaches Christianity infinitely close, yet cannot take the leap. He is the climber who does not climb. This is already a parody of the Desert Father. Concluding unscientific postscript, 1846. A 600-page dialectical bomb. ChatGPT. Turning me on to what? Go do something horrible and nefarious and blasphemous? No, it's turning me on to a 600-page dialectical bomb called Concluding Unscientific Postscript from 1846, written by Johannes Climacus, aka Soren Kierkegaard. I'll choose a 600-page dialectical bomb to any other any day. Climacus argues that subjectivity is truth, Simon, and that existential inwardness matters more than objective doctrine. And yet he remains only an observer of faith, not a participant. The postscript ends with a famous line. Johannes Climacus is not a Christian. Kierkegaard signs the book as editor. This is the clearest demonstration of Kierkegaard's pseudonymic technique. Climacus articulates Christianity's structure with perfect clarity precisely because he is outside it. John Climacus, the actual figure, the saint, ascends the ladder, reaches divine union, is a model of spiritual progression. Johannes Climacus, Kierkegaard's pseudonym, refuses to ascend, analyzes the ladder instead of climbing, embodies perpetual movement toward, but never into, faith. Thus, the pseudonym is a metaphysical joke. A climber who will not climb. A ladder. What? A ladder thinker with vertigo? Bah, what? Well, that's kind of a haiku in wrong syllables, isn't it? Look at that. A ladder thinker with vertigo. This captures the existential blah, blah, blah. Johannes Climacus is the dialectical double of the believer, the one who maps the terrain precisely to show that the map is not the territory. Yeah, that's bunk. Look, when you get to Das Ernst Zümboldurch. Das Ernst Zümboldurch. Das Ernst Zümboldurchfaltigung. Zümboldurchfaltig. or Feltisch. Probably, yeah, it's Feltisch. Zümboldurchfaltigung. There is only one territory, and it is the map as well.